We are 2/3 into Traitors Season 2, meaning the end is near. With there still being 3 traitors against 6 faithful, it's anyone's game at this point. Last night, Danielle was blindsided at the banishment, and after revealing her true role in the game, the faithful were devastated. As a result, Sasha brought together a new group of players who voted Haley at the first banishment of the season, hoping they could act as a voting bloc so the faithful can take down actual traitors. However, with murder on the line, will one of them be taken out of the game tonight? Or will Penelope finally get to drink her own wine from home? Let's find out. Nita is the first to enter the breakfast room, and she sighs in relief, stating out loud that it's about time she enters the room first. In confessional, Nita asks herself why she's still here. It's unbelievable how close she was to going home each round. In fact, she was voted out at one point, but the traitor twist saved her at the 4th banishment. At the moment, she quite literally has no strategy moving forward since every day has just been a blindside for her. All she knows is that Olivia is after her, and she has to figure out she'll neutralize the threat. Back inside, Darla walks through next, and Nita smiles as she says hello to her. Darla then sits down, asking Nita how she's doing. Nita says she feels good today. She feels positive. Darla is intrigued to hear her thoughts, and Nita explains that she feels like she knows who the traitors are. She's fairly certain it's a mix of Olivia, Sasha, and Yasu. Olivia has acted fake to her all season long, just to then whisper to people that she thinks she's the traitor. And then with Sasha, she just rarely volunteers for the shield and is still alive to this day. Then with Yasu, he's just a potential factor as to why Sasha is still alive if she's actually a traitor. Perhaps he wants to keep his best ally and friend alive as long as possible. Darla says she has no clue who to think of as a traitor anymore since she's been wrong round after round. However, she wants to start looking at Kristefany after what happened with the Alessandro murder. Footsteps then approach the breakfast room door, and in comes Amira. Following her a bit afterwards is Emma, who shows her public shield to the other 3. In confessional, Emma says that waking up on day 9 is refreshing because she's never made it this far into a reality competition show. It's quite fascinating how much easier it is to socialize considering how there's way less people to worry about. At the moment, she only trusts Penelope and Amira, while her top suspects are Nita and Darla. Hopefully these faithful are finally smart enough to band together and vote Nita tonight once and for all. Back inside, Olivia enters the room next, and Kristefany joins right after. After sitting down, Emma publicly asks Kristefany if she could name someone she thinks of as a traitor, since she was wrong with Danielle last night. Kristefany then says she thinks Darren is a traitor because he's trying so hard to push this narrative that she or Danielle must have murdered Alessandro. In actuality, anyone can murder Alessandro and pin it on whoever they want. Amira then tells Kristefany that she personally finds it odd how little fight she seems to have in her now. She's never considering the top suspects around her who still stand in the game, so she's genuinely confused by her gameplay. Kristefany asks who she's referring to, and Amira clarifies that she never accuses Nita, yet also never provides a reason why she trusts her. Kristefany then simply says that her and Nita are good friends, and she doesn't like ganging up on one person like Emma and Penelope have done all season. Olivia then cuts in to tell Kristefany that she's not giving enough to them as to why she truly thinks Nita is faithful. Just because she thinks Emma and Penelope are ganging up on her, it doesn't mean Nita is automatically faithful. Kristefany then says that if Nita were to be a traitor, she feels like Nita would struggle to keep up their close bond in the game. She hasn't seen any nervous signs from her this season. Everyone then hears a knock at the door, and they watch as Yasu walks in. He then sits down and Olivia points out that it's down to Sasha, Penelope, and Darren. In confessional, Yasu says that he's glad to still be alive, but Sasha hasn't walked into the room yet, which makes him very nervous. That's his partner in crime. He knows she's innocent. In fact, she's the only one he's 100% sure of as a faithful. Darren comes in second at 85%. Back inside, everyone hears the door start opening, and Emma screams, jump scared by the sudden creaking. Sasha then enters the room and many are relieved. Meanwhile, Emma tells Olivia that she's worried Penelope won't be walking in. In confessional, Emma says that she fully expects Darren to walk through that door last. It's so obvious the traitors wanted to weaken her and Penelope by eliminating Penelope. In fact, she'll be even more certain that Nita is the traitor if that happens. It's all facts. Back in the breakfast room, Sasha says that starting tonight, she expects this group to be more united in their votes because voting individually hasn't worked out for them lately. Darla then states that she personally doesn't see an issue with voting as individuals, considering how they've gotten out 2 traitors already. The latest one was 2 rounds ago, and one of those 2 rounds resulted in Zonathan getting out automatically. In confessional, Darla says that she hates this thinking of having to be united as a group at these banishments. Having more opinions actually helps them out. That's how they got James out. If they just focused on Nita and then Christephanie, they may have gotten those banishments wrong. Or maybe they just would have never been able to get James out. So whenever Sasha says they have to be united, it makes her look less credible because her reasoning makes no sense. Back in the room, everyone hears footsteps by the door, and Emma starts chanting to herself. Penelope then walks into the room, and everyone else is left shocked. Penelope's face drops as she asks who was murdered, and Amira says it was Darren. Penelope frowns and says he was a sweet soul. Christephanie then shakes her head and says she's quite surprised by this murder, but Yasu says he personally isn't surprised since it's so obvious the traitors want the men to go extinct since it's clear none of them are traitors. With him being the last man, he's 100% volunteering for today's shield. In a flashback, Darren sits in the confessional room and finds out he was murdered. He says he expected this just due to the fact that he didn't volunteer for the shield. It just sucks now that he won't immediately know if his suspicions of Christephanie were right or not. He has to wait, and he hates waiting. He obviously wishes he just went with Chris' last vote rather than Danielle, but it is what it is. He can't change the past. The players now have some time to roam the castle and hold discussions, and a group chat forms between Sasha, Yasu, and Amira. Amira sighs due to Darren's murder, and Sasha says that their whole plan of becoming a majority can go out the window now. In confessional, Sasha says that she's a bit pissed off by Darren's murder. He was a key number to her game because of their alliance they formed way back with Cassandra. Now that he's gone, she can only fully trust Yasu. The two of them have been pushing very hard to get Christephanie out, but it never comes to reality. In fact, she's starting to think Nita will be banished tonight instead, but she really doesn't mind that at this point because she's desperate to take out a traitor again. Back with the group, Sasha says that they'll just have to vote Nita if that's what Emma and Penelope want. Yasu sighs and says he just doesn't want to vote Nita if she's actually a faithful all this time. What if Penelope and Emma have been plotting against the faithful all season long? Why are they still alive? Amira says that she's very confident they are faithful, so they should remain looking at Nita, Chris, Darla, or Olivia as possible traitors. In confessional, Amira says that she'd like to vote out Chris or Nita tonight because one of them simply has to go. There's no if or but. It has to happen. They've been targets for way too long now, and clearly keeping them around for any longer won't help. Their expiration date has finally come. Amira then tells Yasu and Sasha that she'll go find Emma and Penelope to confirm who they're voting for, so she heads out. Sasha then turns to Yasu and says that she has this weird feeling about Amira. She's just been way too neutral in this game, and she's finally deciding to target Nita and Chris after all this time. It just feels way too fishy. Yasu sees what she means, and in confessional, Yasu says that Sasha has valid reasons to feel suspicious of Amira. However, they need to focus on Nita and Chris first. The moment they shift to someone else, Nita and Chris make it through another day and will eventually take over what's left of the game. In another chat, Christephanie and Darla talk about the latest murder. Christephanie says that she doesn't understand why Penelope, Sasha, and Yasu are still here if they've been deemed as some of the most faithful people in here. Darla agrees and says she's mildly bothered by Sasha's claim of how they need to vote unanimously from now on. It's as if she wants them all to go by her own agenda. In confessional, Christephanie says that Darla is thankfully someone she can try leaning on as a vote on her side. She's starting to think Sasha is a traitor, so that's at least a good sign. However, she refuses to believe anyone else will target Sasha, so she'll need to start pushing this thought that Olivia could be a traitor. Christephanie then tells Darla that she's pretty suspicious of Olivia. She has always been friendly towards Nita, and then last night, it came out that Olivia actually never trusted her. It just seems very strange that she would act fake in front of Nita all this time, just to blindside her like that. Darla claims she can kind of see where she's getting at, but she's not quite there yet with finding Olivia suspicious. She's actually leaning towards Nita as a possible traitor at this point. She technically tried saving James the round he went home by voting her with him. Christephanie shrugs and says she's just finding it really hard to believe Nita is a traitor from the beginning. In the bar room, Amira finds Olivia, Emma, and Penelope chatting, so she decides to enter their conversation. Olivia tells Amira that they were discussing how Nita, Darla, and Christephanie are the top 3 suspects right now, and they want to come together tonight to vote out Nita. Amira then points out how they need to figure out how they'll do it if Sasha and Yasu aren't on board. There will be a shield vote today, so if a few of them decide to volunteer for the shield, that's already some key votes taken away from voting Nita. Emma says that if they just do the math, 8 votes of the 9 can be put onto Nita. Or 7 if Chris is that ignorant and refuses to vote her quote-unquote friend. In confessional, Emma says that anyone who doesn't vote for Nita tonight will probably just be threatened to get voted out the next round. Only traitors will defend Nita at this point, so if Christephanie wants to continue supporting her, that's on her. Back inside, Amira locks in that she's voting Nita tonight, and Penelope is glad to hear that. Nita meanwhile chats with Sasha and Yasu, letting them both know that she's starting to see clearly now, regarding who the traitors could actually be. If they look at how these murders have went, these traitors are clearly trying to frame Christephanie as much as possible. Plus, Penelope and Emma are still alive. What does that mean? It means Penelope and Emma could be traitors, and if they were to recruit a third person, it most definitely would be Olivia because she's under the radar. Sasha and Yasu look at Nita in silence, unsure if they can really believe this theory. Yasu then tells Nita that he's just really bothered by the fact she never voted a traitor out yet. It's just a bad look on her, which is why so many people distrust her. Nita pleads to Sasha and Yasu now, telling them that she doesn't want to go home after luckily reaching this far. She needs them to open up their eyes and realize they are being played by the 2 people who made themselves into personal attackers and bullies. In Nita's confessional, she says she's praying at this point that she can change Sasha and Yasu's minds. She needs them to start thinking Emma and Penelope are traitors so they don't look at herself. Hopefully they look at these last few murders and start thinking to themselves as to why Emma and Penelope are still alive on day 9. We've now reached the point where the faithful crown ceremony takes place. Everyone sits down in the courtyard, ready for the instructions. They are then told that today will work differently. There will not be a formal banishment tonight. That means they will not be visiting the round table room at all for today. Instead, they will be competing in a chain of safety right here, right now. Just like last season, someone will start off the safety chain, meaning they'll save someone from getting eliminated. Then, that next person will do the same, and this process will continue until just 2 people remain. The second to last player saved will make the final decision, saving one of the 2 remaining players, and eliminating the other from this game. The person eliminated must reveal the role and leave the castle grounds immediately. If the players get out a traitor today, everyone will be safe from murder, meaning there won't be a murder taking place. If incorrect, the traitors will be allowed to murder anyone they'd like tonight. With that, it's time to figure out who will start off the chain. Everyone must now vote in secret for the person they'd like to start this chain of safety. In confessional, Christephanie breathes out heavily due to this sudden twist. There's at least a better chance of it saving both her and Nita today rather than a vote, but it's still barely any better. Regardless, she'll just have to vote for Darla and hope Nita thinks the same. At least in that case, they can hope the vote ties up and Darla has a chance of getting first pick. In another confessional, Penelope says she's obviously choosing Emma to start the chain, and in Emma's confessional, she says she's picking Penelope. In Yasu's confessional, he says he's voting Sasha for this chain, and in Sasha's confessional, she names Yasu as her vote. Then, in Darla's confessional, she says she's voting Olivia to start the chain because she just doesn't believe she's a traitor. Nita keeps pushing it's Olivia, but she doesn't trust anything Nita says anymore. In another confessional, Olivia says she's obviously throwing her vote. She doesn't expect Amira to get any votes since she isn't allied with anyone in particular, so she'll just throw her vote there. Back with the players, it's time to reveal the results of this vote. Nita and Christephanie did not receive a single vote today, so neither of them will start off today's chain of safety. Then, multiple people received one vote each. Those people are Amira, Penelope, Emma, Yasu, and Sasha. That just leaves Olivia and Darla, and both of them received 2 votes each, which means a re-vote must be held between the 2 ladies. Whoever gets more votes in this re-vote will start off the chain. In confessional, Olivia says there's no way Darla will get more votes than her. She knows for a fact Christephanie and Nita voted Darla, and nobody is on their side currently. Their social game isn't as good as her own. Back outside, all 7 re-voters finish voting, and it's revealed that in a 5-2 vote, Olivia will be starting off the chain of safety. Olivia breathes out from relief and thanks everyone for the votes. With that, everyone is asked to stand up except for Olivia, so they all follow through. Olivia is asked to start off the chain by saving someone from elimination, so she takes a moment to think about it and picks Emma because she's been the most real person out here all season long. Emma smiles and sits down and is asked to save the next person. She then picks Penelope for obvious reasons, so Penelope sits down as ordered. In Amira's confessional, she says that she voted Olivia for this shield because she wants to extend an olive branch to her. If she survives this chain of safety, she'll make it clear to her that she's on her side. This could be another faithful number she could use going forward. Back outside, Penelope is asked to pick someone she'd like to save next, and Penelope takes a moment to think about her decision. In confessional, Penelope says that on one hand, Sasha and Yasu are quote-unquote truly faithful, but on the other hand, she and Emma like Amira quite a bit. Either way, those 3 will likely save each other anyway, so it doesn't matter who she picks in this situation. Penelope then says she's going to save Amira, so Amira thanks her and sits down. Amira is then asked to save the next person, so she quickly picks Yasu. Yasu then sits down with a smile on his face, and he then chooses Sasha right away for safety. Sasha thanks him and proceeds to sit down, leaving just Darla, Christephanie, and Nita. In confessional, Nita wipes her tears and says it's about to be the end of the Chris-Nita duo. And in another confessional, Christephanie sits in silence, realizing that it's basically just going to be down to herself or Nita for who goes home. It'll be up to Darla who goes home, so she hopes their relationship is better than what Darla and Nita have, if they even have anything together. Back outside, Sasha picks Darla to be saved, and Darla proceeds to sit down. Darla is then told that the power ends in her hands. She must choose to save one last player, that being Christephanie or Nita. The person she doesn't pick will be eliminated, and thus will reveal their role to everyone before exiting. Darla nods and says that she expected this outcome, considering the first 6 chosen are all practically in a group of sorts. The rest of them are on the bottom. She'll laugh in their faces if they do not take out a traitor tonight because they refuse to have open minds. All in all, when it comes to Nita and Christephanie, one person stands out more as a traitor than the other, and that's why she has no choice but to save Christephanie today. Christephanie then sits down in silence and closes her eyes. It's then confirmed that Nita has been eliminated from this game and is asked to stand by the exit and state her role to the group. Nita then makes her way to the exit and everyone watches her. In Nita's final confessional of the season, she says she did what she could to scrape her way to top 9, and she's damn proud of herself. She had to jump through so many hurdles to get here, and it was basically impossible at this point to get to any further stage. She wishes Christephanie nothing but the best. Back outside, Nita tells everyone that she's a huge fan of reality TV, and she's especially a huge fan of playing them. Coming into this game, she didn't want to be the mother figure that she always tried to play as. Instead, she wanted to be a more strategic player. It still got her fairly far, so it somewhat worked out for her. She wishes nothing but the best moving forward, revealing that she was a traitor all this time. Everyone then cheers, many standing up to either hug other people or jump around. Nita then heads out and Olivia jumps onto the grass in excitement. Emma then screams that she's the actual smart faithful in here, never giving up on voting Nita out someday. Penelope gives Emma another hug and tells her they did it. They finally got out the traitor they've been onto for a full week now. In confessional, Emma says that she'd like to thank her sponsors and supporters for being there the whole way through. She finally got rid of the evil witch in Nita, and now she can breathe fresh air. She loves this game. In another confessional, Olivia claps in excitement as she finally got rid of one of her enemies. She even got voted to start up this safety chain, which makes her feel even better. Christephanie has nothing she can do to take her down, so she better keep it quiet moving forward. She's toast otherwise.